So let's talk about the Shutdown and SNAP. SNAP is the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. This is what feeds about 42 million people. A lot of them are elderly, a lot of them are children, and a lot of them are single parents with children. Often, people are working 2 or even 3 jobs. I saw a woman that was interviewed that said she was working 90 hours and still couldn't keep a roof over their heads, feed her kids, have health care, etc. And she was working 3 jobs and she was still going backwards. And people like that, can you imagine? Suddenly the SNAP program has been cut off by the Republicans. This is the Republicans doing. So, the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, comes out and makes this comment. SNAP is corrupt and riddled with illegal immigrant fraud. What a load of rubbish. This is complete nonsense because the SNAP program has never been a program that undocumented immigrants have ever had access to. Never. So it's just totally untrue. Why are they lying? You know why? Because they're afraid that if they tell the truth, people are going to see them for what they are. They got plenty of money to go to Argentina, 40 billion. They got plenty of money, 4.5 trillion. Do you know how much that is? 4.5 trillion. You think about a billion and multiply that by 1,000, and that's a trillion, all right? So you're talking 4.5, so 4,500 billion. We were talking 350 billion was allocated to DHS and ICE and things like that, and that was considered huge. I mean, that's bigger than what most armies are getting around the world. And now we're talking $4.5 trillion to the billionaires. Millions or billions for the SNAP program, and they're giving 4,500 billion. Think about that. Think about the size of it. And they cut back healthcare by 1.2 trillion. Why is the shutdown there? Let's just look at that. The shutdown occurred because there are recurring subsidies that needed to be continued for the Affordable Care Act, which has a huge impact on, again, millions of people. And we're already seeing many people, and a lot of these people in the red states, seeing their premiums for their health insurance fly up, double, treble, even quadruple. This is why the Democrats, on principle, and they must stick to their guns on this. They can't just roll over and say, oh, that's all right. Yeah, just do whatever you like to MAGA. No, MAGA is doing the wrong thing. The Republicans are doing the wrong thing. Cutting back healthcare, preventing people that are desperately in need of this. These are legitimate people that have retired, some in their 60s, 70s, 80s, people that have done their bit for the society and it's now their turn to retire. And you're going to take the food out of their mouths and what? Starve them? They need this food. And the children who are starving as a result of this. Is this what America's about? I mean, but you've got 4.5 trillion. That's 4,500 billion to the billionaires. And you're cutting back health by 1.2 trillion, 1,200 billion. And you got plenty of money for what? For Argentina. It's just crazy. And what about this monstrous boondoggle, the East Wing that was torn down and destroyed, the iconic part of the White House, building what? A Trump Tower, a marble mausoleum, some kind of star chamber. And you know what they were doing? They had a Gatsby party, or some have called it Fatsby, which I laughed about. I thought that was funny. But they had this vaudeville show. What does that mean? It's kind of like strippers and, I mean, is that not tonally insensitive? And there's champagne flowing and expensive dinner plates. And that's what they're doing while 42 million people aren't able to eat because the Republicans are denying them. The Republicans could end the shutdown instantly. They could do this easily by saying, yeah, all right, we'll continue to fund the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies that are there so that millions of people don't lose their health insurance. I mean, they've got plenty of money. You cannot tell me that there isn't enough to go around. If you've got 4.5 trillion going to the billionaires and you're telling me you can't fund the Affordable Care Act, you can't ensure that millions of people all around the US are going to have to give up their health insurance because, if you're on that fixed income, think about it. If you're making 60 grand between two people per year and you suddenly have it quadruple or something where suddenly they're asking 15 to 20,000 or something, that's insane. And this is a choice. This is a policy choice. And don't come at me with the sophistry, this ridiculous stuff. Oh, those people are all corrupt or bad, or that it's illegal immigrants or something, or it's people that should be working or something. You're talking about retirees and children are a lot of the people on SNAP that are being hit, or single parents that are trying to feed their kids. Some of them, like this woman that I was listening to that was on YouTube and Instagram and all sorts of things, TikTok, there are people coming out saying, I'm working 3 jobs. I can't cover all this. And now you're going to take the food away from me. And, I can't make ends meet as it was. And I was relying on SNAP, the ability to get food stamps. So it's not like you're going down to a restaurant. It's not like the Great Gatsby business where you've got champagne pouring and you've got the very best cuts and it's all laid on. You are being extremely frugal, particularly if you've got a large family that you're trying to support, lots of kids. And isn't the Republican Party supposed to be all about families? They're working their guts out, but you've set a system up where so many people, the wages have been eroded. They've cut the education down. They've cut. And now there are millions and millions of people in the Rust Belts all over the country, working families, decent, hardworking people who have been ripped off and betrayed. That's what's happened here. And so this nonsense about, the illegal immigrants are going to get this, that, and the other thing. Oh, that's nonsense because they don't get access to any of these things. The healthcare, they don't get access to. EBT, they don't get access to. SNAP, they don't get access to. That's it. This is sophistry. All this nonsense. They're just trying to trick you guys. They're trying to say, the Democrats are all about the illegal immigrants. Well, no, SNAP has never been for undocumented migrants. They've never had access to that. Never. That's a complete lie. So Brooke Rollins comes out and says, it's corrupt. See how they're framing it? A program that feeds 42 million odd people and they're going to create chaos. Maybe this is what they're thinking. We'll cause riots because the crime rate will go up because people will be literally starving. Soup kitchens can only stretch so far. The states are trying to step up, particularly in the blue states, are stepping up to try and feed people in the interim, coming up with measures to try and keep people from starving. In the greatest country in the world, people are starving. And this nonsense, anybody that comes out and says, these are just freeloaders. Most of them are elderly people or children or single parents that are working like 3 jobs or families that both are working their guts out, both working 2, 3, even 4 jobs sometimes. And just go and watch. Look at how many people coming out saying, I'm working 90 hours. I can't keep the roof over my kids' heads. I can't feed my kids and I don't have health care anymore because I can't afford it. And any of the programs I try and access are being cut back. What Rollins claimed was thousands of illegal EBT card use, 700,000 removed from the SNAP program, 118 arrests, 5,000 dead people receiving benefits. This is what they claim. Does this sound familiar? It's like with the Social Security business. They were saying, there are people 100, 200, 300 years old and things like that, or whatever it was, 200 or 300 years old. Yeah, they're not getting paid. They were signals saying that there needed to be an update made and that there was a problem. And they were like error codes. Anybody that knows software knows that you code certain things. So it might have a certain specific year number. Same kind of concept. This is the same sort of disingenuous nonsense. some people might call it lying. If the Republicans at least had even an iota of integrity, they just tell you, yeah, we're giving lots of money to the billionaires. We're going to take healthcare away from millions, and we're going to cut the SNAP program out. And we're not going to renew the subsidies that went to the Affordable Care Act. So lots of people's health insurance is going to fly up. We decided we'd do that. And that's our policy, and we'll stand on it. Have the courage of your convictions. But no, they won't do that. I've seen so many MAGA people, like on my channel, I've had people come up saying, oh no, the illegal immigrants are getting all this stuff, when they aren't. And who is in power right now? The Republicans are in power. Think about it. They would be the ones that would be passing any kind of bill. I challenge any of you MAGA people that are buying this stuff. If you believe that policy is right, look at what they've actually done. Okay, that's all I ask is an honest appraisal. Do your own research. Like literally you can do it. Go to Google and then actually go through and dig through for yourself. The One Big Beautiful Bill was passed by the Republicans. They wrote it. So it's a bit disingenuous to say, oh, the Democrats are doing bad things. The Democrats had no input into any of this. If anybody says, oh, they should have negotiated or come to an agreement, they tried several times, and Trump said, no, I'm not going to talk to you. Cohen, you can negotiate anything in the book. There was a key thing in there I've always remembered and always see, which is Soviet negotiation. So when the Soviet Union existed, one of the Soviet negotiational tactics was to say, this is what we're offering, and they would not negotiate. They would not change that. And the idea was they would hold their ground until the other side caved and they would win the negotiation. And you know what Cohen said in his book? He said, always walk away when somebody is Soviet negotiating. If they won't come and compromise at all, they are going to stick to their guns. So you should walk away if you can. In this case, you can't really walk away because walking away means that the shutdown remains in place. But here's the thing. The Republicans don't care about the shutdown. They're letting it run. They could easily resolve it. I mean, there's plenty of money in the budget to maintain the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, because that's all that this is about. And it's just that the Democrats finally had the intestinal fortitude to stand up and say, no, we draw a line here, which is exactly what they need to do. And all these wavering senators, for God's sake, have the courage of your convictions. This is just and right. And anybody that looks at this seriously will see that depriving millions of people of health insurance that they're entitled to, they've worked for that and they deserve that money. These are citizens. Don't listen to this nonsense. I challenge anybody. Go look it up. It is about the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies. That's what it's about. That the Republicans were taking that away from millions of working and middle-class families, stealing that and giving it to the rich, 4.5 trillion or whatever it ends up being. But it's a huge amount of money that they're letting the super rich have, who've already got it all. I mean, they're not going to go hungry, even if they were taxed. And all that 4.5 trillion was taxed, they'd still be fine. They've got plenty. But these other people, these people are on the breadline, young children in families that are struggling just to make ends meet. In fact, many of them aren't. And it's not their fault either. It's because the Republicans have geared the system so the wages have diminished and haven't kept up with inflation, haven't kept up with the rising costs of living. I mean, if you go back to the 70s, you could retire comfortably. You could own your own home and retire comfortably. And not now. You know why that is, though, right? Trickle-down economics never worked. It just meant more money rose to the top, and it meant the poor had much less, and the middle class, it eroded the middle class. Everybody's struggling, except for the super rich, and maybe the top 10, 20% probably doing all right, but everybody else isn't. And with these tariffs that have come through, that's jacked the prices up. That's the real effect of that. And it shut markets off, so farmers can't sell their goods into China and things like that. Oh, we're going to give, what is it, 40 billion to Argentina. Here's the thing that just blows my mind about the terrible lies that they're making. They're saying, oh, the illegal immigrants are going to get it. Lie. They're not. Illegal immigrants have got nothing to do with the ACA or SNAP. Neither. Complete nonsense. EBT, no. Healthcare, no. SNAP, no. People that are undocumented, illegal, whatever you want to call them, they don't get access to that. All right? But the people that are getting 40 billion that you could have pumped in to keep the Affordable Care Act subsidies that mean that millions of people continue to have health care at a price they struggle to pay, but where they're still in it, to doubling, trebling, quadrupling, because you gave 40 billion to Argentina, and also you're going to buy their beef, and the beef producers here that lost all their markets. How can anybody think this is okay? It doesn't bear out. They're lying to you. They're lying to you, and they know it. Come on. Read the bill. People that are undocumented have never, ever, ever got EBT. They've never, ever, ever got health insurance. Now, people that came in where they have asylum or they're a permanent resident, then yes, they are entitled. Rollins says thousands of illegal EBT card use. Really? 700,000 people removed from SNAP, 118 arrests, 5,000 dead people receiving benefits. Really? Does this sound familiar? MAGA talking points. And why is it all of them are parroting the same thing? Because if a lie is repeated often enough, it becomes the truth. That's the Republicans doing that. Children. I think it was about 20% or somewhere like that, but it's a big chunk. Children. And then there's another chunk that are single parents with children. And quite a lot of these people are working not just one or two, but sometimes 3 or even 4 jobs. And I was saying this earlier, like there's one woman saying, hey, I'm working 90 hours. I'm killing myself, but I'm getting minimum wage. And I don't have enough to feed my kids. I don't have enough for healthcare. I'm barely keeping the roof over our heads. They're at the breaking point. And the Republicans are going to push them over the edge and starve millions, 42 million people. Now, think about that happening in another country. And you hear this horror story of this right-wing dictatorship type of government exploiting people and giving trillions to the most wealthy people, stealing from the poor to give to the rich. The reverse Robin Hood, because that's what this is. It's the Robin Hood inverted. Steal from the poor to give to the rich. Because a big chunk of these people have genuinely worked and struggled and have contributed as much as they can, but they're struggling on the breadline. And why is that? It's because the whole system has been structured so it disadvantages your poorest people, the people that can't get an education. So it's a trap. It's like a jackboot on their heads. And that is what the Republicans are doing. They've sabotaged the education. They've slowly eroded everything that could make life easier for working families. And yet, I couldn't believe it when Mike Johnson came out and said, this wonderful bill that we put through is the working families bill. Did you guys see that? He said that. He said, this is the best bill for working families ever. And I keep saying this. I jokingly say, well, maybe he's mad. Maybe he's just stupid. Well, I don't know this. I don't know what's in his head. But my bet's on this. I bet he's just lying through his teeth because they can't handle the truth. Just tell people the truth. I mean, if you're going to pass these sorts of policies, Have the courage of your convictions and stand on it and say, yeah, we're taking money from the poor to give to the rich. Okay, Mike Johnson, I don't agree with you. But if he was honest and said, yeah, we're stealing from the poor to give to, he wouldn't actually, he would counter this. We think that the billionaires, we believe in trickle down, which of course is rubbish, but, they can try and argue that. I mean, it's still sophistry in a way, but it's a bit more honest. At least they could say, yeah, we passed the bill, and yeah, we weren't going to renew the Affordable Care Act subsidies, and yeah, millions of people, their health insurance rates are going to go up, but we decided we would pass that, and we decided we would add more to the deficit because we think that it's important that, and again, my best knowledge on this is 4.5 trillion was what it was originally. That might be modified. I know there's some variables in it, but really 4,500 billion, think of it like that, because that's what a trillion is. A trillion, it just sounds like, oh yeah, it's a trillion and a billion. Yeah, that's 1,000 times different. So when you talk a trillion, you're talking 1,000 billion. All right. And if you're talking 4.5, that's 4,500 billion. And the SNAP program is in the billions. I mean, it's not in the trillions. You see? So why don't they just be honest and say to the working class people, the middle class people, guys, we're going to give more money to the super rich and we're going to reduce your health care. We're going to cut back on SNAP. And we're going to make your health insurance premiums go up because we're not going to renew the subsidies that would keep the prices lower. Because we want to give the billionaires a huge tax cut or retain it. So they don't have to pay much tax at all. And then they might argue, well, it's trickle down. And of course, they create jobs for everybody, right? Well, anybody that looks at trickle-down economics and what happened in the Reagan period. And this is why I've sort of swung to where I am, because I'm just dealing in facts. Now, if the Republicans came up with good policies, hey, and it works and it's sensible, great. There are a couple of things they do. They do things which I think are just bad policy because it's not efficient or it's not sensible, or there are political decisions being made that benefit some people and not others. And if you really believe the billionaires should have everything and everybody else nothing, and that's what they want to do, why don't they just say that? Because they don't want to. I mean, they want to trick people. It's tricking people. It's trick or treat, and they're not giving you a treat. It's a trick. So the simple thing is, why don't they just tell the truth? And the reason why that is, it would be deeply unpopular if people realized, if most of the working people realized that their health care, all the benefits that they were going to get, and even their tax cuts, they're losing. And the billionaires are gaining. It's just enormous. They're getting this huge amount of money. And, those people shouldn't be on it. 42 million people. Oh, no. It's their fault that they're poor. The game is rigged against them. If you're working 3 or 4 jobs and you're still going backwards, there's something wrong. You shouldn't even be doing that. Think about it. In the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, you could be a factory worker. You could be anything. You could work at McDonald's or something. You could be sweeping the floors. You could be riding the garbage trucks and stuff like that. You could still end up owning your own home and retiring comfortably. So what are we talking about? Legal status. There are federal judge rulings that data demand is likely unlawful. So Brooke Rollins then goes on. USA demanded state SNAP records and claims massive fraud, but details are incomplete and most states refuse. Legal fights ensued. So, reality check. Eligibility rules. Who is actually on SNAP and who is ineligible? Rollins claimed that 700,000 people were moved off and a few arrests, 118 arrests. So the shutdown created real hunger. SNAP runs dry, ordered partial emergency funding, but benefits will be reduced or delayed. So some people are going to do it tough. So what's the political motive and the manipulation going on? Data demands. Public messaging appears aimed at shrinking programs and scoring political points, with real human costs as the payoff. So rhetoric versus evidence. Claims of massive fraud lack transparency and methodology. She's just saying it. Well, let's see it. Data and privacy weaponized. Agricultural departments demand for 5 years of recipient data and linking it to SAVE to verify status. Many states refuse, citing privacy and legal concerns, which are legitimate. Human impact. The shutdown led to benefits lapsing. Courts forced a partial fund to use, but the payments will be reduced or delayed, increasing food insecurity, which means people are starving. That's what it means. Political strategy, messaging tools. So the messaging targets illegal immigrants with a narrative to justify cuts. So Brooke Rollins, I mean, it just lacks a methodology. She's just talking the MAGA talking point. That's all it is. So how did they get these numbers? How did you get the numbers, Brooke? Can you lay it out in detail? Or did you just magically say it, therefore it's true, right? Few arrests. Are people being removed legally or falsely? Part of the agenda here, the Republican agenda here, is to try and disenfranchise people from getting the food that they deserve. And if they took 700,000 people off, was this really legal? Or was this trumped up? Or was it that they're exploiting people that are already suffering and finding it hard to fill out forms? And a lot of these people, their literacy skills might not be great. They're working multiple jobs and they're starving. Of course, it's going to be tough for them to jump through 50 hoops of bureaucracy that the Republicans have decided they would impose. I mean, one wonders, was this actually a deliberate strategy to try and disenfranchise 700,000 people who were entitled to get the food that they needed, and they basically made it hard for them, so hard that they kicked 700,000 people off? I don't know. I don't know. I bet you if we dig deeper, though, I would like to see chapter and verse why exactly people were taken off. My counter response is, how many of these people were people that are on the breadline that might have literacy skills or might just be too hard pressed to answer the right way? And if you make it too complex, of course you're going to get people that make mistakes or can't get it done or whatever. But that's kind of cynical, don't you think? I mean, that's really disingenuous to do that to people. I mean, you're basically robbing 700,000 people or however many. I mean, okay, maybe a few were legitimately shouldn't be on it, but the bulk of them, come on. Are you kidding me? And it's not like this is a huge amount for these. I mean, the amount of stuff you got to jump through just to get a few bucks or to just get enough food to sustain yourself. They're not living high on the hog. I mean, is this the idea? Do people think that the SNAP program is kind of like Christmas time and that all the best stuff is there and that you'll have caviar and champagne? No, this is bread and butter stuff. This is, basically this is a survival kit for people that are drowning, that are starving. These are starving people. That's the reality. Starving, ordinary people. A lot of them working people, like a lot of the people that are in MAGA that are working. They're working. Some of these people working as hard as they can. 90 hours. What, you think they should work more? You should. Okay. So what you're saying is, oh yeah, MAGA and the Republicans are right. All these people should be slaves and should just work 24/7, right? And if that's not enough, too bad. Then just let them starve, right? You think that's fair and reasonable? This is America, right? Most powerful country in the world. Work these people to death, turn them into slaves, and if they die or deny them healthcare, deny them education, deny them a roof over their heads, and then what? Do you see how this is engineered? And then suddenly they're out in the streets begging. And can you imagine how hard it is then to try and jump through all these bureaucratic hoops? And suddenly you're homeless. And then they've set the law up so you can be taken to a poorhouse, to a slave labor camp, against your will. Can you see what that might end up being? I mean, I'm just going to tell it straight. It's my opinion, but my guess is that they want to enslave millions of people. Cheap labor. And profit off it. Misery. Bringing back the poorhouses. This is what these people are on about. They want to turn the clock back to some sort of pre-Victorian kind of England, the industrialization period, where people were worked for incredibly long hours, where there were no safety standards and people suffered from industrial accidents, and too bad if you did. Or like the Mad Hatter, off Alice in Wonderland. The Mad Hatter was all about, it was a thing. A lot of these people that made hats went mad. And it was a real problem. And if you were working and then you went mad, too bad, many of these people died. Guess what happened to them? There were things like mercury and other dangerous, like heavy metals and things like that, all sorts of different things in the process that went into your system and caused you to go mad, caused you to hallucinate, shut down things like your kidneys and things like that, your internal organs. It did terrible damage. And in the end, many people died from it. That's what the Mad Hatter's all about. They want to go back to the workhouses of the Industrial Revolution. This is so backward. This is the age of AI, a technical age, one where, automation comes in. We're building, you've got drones, you've got robotics, all sorts of things. So what needs to happen is no more lies from the Republicans. Or if they're going to lie, they have to come to the party. You can't leave 42 million people starving. That's just not fair and reasonable. And if you do, that says everything we need to know about MAGA and the Republicans if they let this happen. They're in power. They got the president, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. They're in power. They are the government. They could pass whatever they like. But why not do the right thing and make sure that the Affordable Care Act subsidies are retained so millions of people don't lose their health insurance or end up paying exorbitant amounts of money just to keep their health insurance up? Because that's really unfair. And come on, there's plenty of money there. Just look after the people that are working and make sure that their health benefits, and particularly the retirees, they're struggling enough as it is. Come on, the food prices have gone up hard. Just do the right thing. Come on, MAGA, do the right thing. It's not hard. You can solve it instantly and quickly. Let people have their health insurance. Retain the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act that keep ordinary people's health insurance at levels they can afford. Or they might even be struggling even now. But making it worse, it's just not fair. You're not giving people a fair go. The US should be about looking after children that are starving, looking after retirees. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and what you think is fair for the people whose insurance is skyrocketing, for the people who can't make ends meet and who can't get enough food on the table. What do you think? How are you seeing this? Whatever you think's fair. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share. Anyway, once again, thanks for joining me. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. And yeah, let's hope that this gets resolved, because 42 million people shouldn't be left starving, and we shouldn't have health insurance rates that are going to skyrocket. Please, Republicans and MAGA, do the right thing. We'll see you next time. All the best.